Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again Season 2 Episode 1, The Northern Star. The episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for the episode and possibly everything MCU leading up to it as well, and adjacent. And yeah, another episode that I absolutely fucking loved. We are so fucking back. Let's see. I think I'm just real quick gonna start with the definitely wanted to make sure to recommend videos so I don't risk forgetting. I really loved the recent Council of Geeks video, the hypocritical homophobic comments of Pixar's creative chief. And yeah, right. So to further honor Women's History Month, I'm going to start by talking about the female characters of the episode before moving on to the regularly scheduled programming of the scene-by-scene, more or less chronological. Yeah. So, pretty sure I know who Jess, as they mention, is, but I guess just in case, I will leave it, because, yeah. If she is who I think she might be, I am really looking forward to it. So I guess I'm gonna try to do start with the ones who there is the least to say about. Sheila, I did appreciate her still trying desperately to cling on to any hope that the office will maintain at least some dignity and decor, but yeah, uphill battle. I think that pretty much... Yeah, I guess the next one in line then is Heather. I think they need to tread carefully there because it is feeling a tiny bit tropey. So, one of the things is that now she's wearing black, which is like, oh, you get it? She's evil. And and it is also, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't that willing to see it for the first season. Let me know what you think down below. Right now, it feels a bit like, and I get, some time has passed. This isn't like the day after the end of season 1, but it does feel like, would she really be, quite this? I don't know. But I mean, on the plus side, she makes an addition to, this is already season 1 was packed to the brim with antagonists that I love to hate. You've got the cop who... Do we even need to specify which one? He tortures one of the two. I think the captain was the one he was torturing, before Buck kills him. In this episode, we also, Fisk goes without saying. Buck, we have the Vanessa. In addition, Muse, and the I swear there's at least one more. Who the fuck was the other? I can't believe I'm struggling to recall his name right now. My wrists are too fucking sore right now to look it up. But Michael Gandolfini's character, wonderfully slimy. Obviously, we also have Dex, although, with him it's perhaps less... I mean, at this point, I guess it's more like anti-hero, anti-villain, but still, his evil moments were tremendously fun. I guess that does pretty much cover... Yeah, let's, anyway, yeah. One of the tropes here that I think they really need to be careful about, because I believe it's referred to as the inmates running the asylum kind of a thing, So you've got this person who is like a psychiatrist, but she herself is struggling with her mental health, and it's like, oh, what is she gonna do with all that power, and also just the evil psych eval kind of situation. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to put in, to jam into very limited, very little screen time in this episode. But I don't know. I mean, at the same time, I am looking forward to seeing more of, because like she's got PTSD and she is not accepting that is the case, and I think that could really fuck things up for her and by extension Fisk. So that is definitely an element that I will look forward to seeing explored further. Right. So not an awful lot to say about Vanessa this episode, really. I did really appreciate her, the thing about like, are you always this abrasive? Well, I am. I am what I am, and I do what I can. And she's like, I doubt that. And with that, I guess the next is BB. I really appreciate this thing of, so she is going along with, she was, strong-armed near the end of season 1. She is doing this fucking propaganda as much as it pains her, but she is also, she's the source, and she's like, he's my source, she just doesn't know it. And the thing about, like, do you like him? Well, he grows on you like a tumor, but no, not like that. And I guess that does segue very nicely into Karen. So I will start with the scene they share. And yeah, I thought it was very, I quite appreciated. I suppose an argument could be made that it should maybe have been a tiny bit more dramatic, but I think it's just they have so many things they got to get to in this season. It's like 9 episodes or something, but I did really appreciate. I'm looking forward to seeing like how it affects them. I'm not hugely surprised that they are working together, and both of them, neither is surprised that the other knows that it was clearly Fisk who killed Ben. God damn it. Marvel Universe, what do you have against Bens who are like gentle and just nice? Anyway, yeah, Karen saying, she has a lot of guilt over Ben because, like, I mean, I don't know that I think BB is actually gonna go against, because she really does hate Fisk, but I wouldn't rule out that it might complicate. Like, is she gonna have a difficult time trusting Karen with something in the future because of this? Maybe. But yeah, everything Karen was just pitch perfect. I am so glad to see her back. And right here in the first, well, okay, technically in the first episode of the first season as well, but here it feels like, okay, no, she's a fixture. She's going to stay around this time, Yeah. I gotta watch more Deborah Ann Woll, honestly. Leave recommendations down below. I'm still not sure that I would go through with actually watching because of all the shit I've heard about it, though. I mean, I like her. I like, what was her name? Kat something? But Vampire Diaries, like literally every time I hear a leftist talk about it here on YouTube, it's like, that fucking show. And it's like, but I definitely got to watch more Deborah Ann Woll. She is so fucking amazing in these, let's go with Defenders verse, because it's not all MCU, some of it is Netflix. Anyway, I guess, yeah, I also really appreciate it because, like, we do have some suggestion that maybe she's going to, be a tad more, let's go with physical here. And I'm really glad they pulled the trigger on that. Okay, loaded the gun. Let's go with immediately, because one of the first things we see is her training, and she looks fucking badass. Yeah, it's and yeah, the relationship between her and Matt has been rekindled, and I really appreciate, as usual for, mostly at least in, Defenders verse, if the sex scene by itself is not really going to communicate anything about the characters and their relationship to each other, where they're at physically, mentally, emotionally, you don't really need to show it. You can just imply it, and that's, yeah. I am not one of those, I know well, let's see. Is it people my age or is it people slightly younger? I guess maybe more younger. But apparently there's a bunch of people who are like, oh, no sex scenes. Which, listen, I understand. One reason I heard given was a bunch of them live with their parents. I get that. Yes, but like as long as it actually, yeah, as mentioned, conveys something, which I do think, it's not like Defenders Verse didn't have sex scenes, but they mostly would tell us something. And that's where, an R rating or TVMA can really be quite useful, because there are certain things that are expressed sexually. And I know Puritans fucking hates, hearing that. That's not the only reason I say it. Anyway, let's see, but yeah, he's still great at flirting. Good night could be better. And let's see, yeah. So I will say the thing with passing information, that felt a little bit like, really, like, I don't know. I mean, see, the thing, I would maybe think USB or something, which, I mean, they did use that in USB is actually how you know that USA is not perfect. Had to make a sequel. But yeah, in the original Netflix Daredevil, they did the USB with important information. And I'm not saying they have to do that exact same thing. I'm just saying, really? You're just gonna, like, I'm sorry, are we, I get that they're like, I see them being like, is anyone here? But that also does kind of draw attention. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm seeing someone like in a public place like that, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, they're a spy. I might think, they are what, Fisk is saying all vigilantes are. But yeah, let's see. I think that does just about. Yeah, the training there at the end was also quite cool, and some compelling conversation. Yeah, I think this episode did do a good job. Like, was it always supposed to come out during Women's History Month? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Anyway, that brings us to the more or less scene by scene. I appreciate that this hits the ground running. This was also the case for Season 1's opener, as well as the first two seasons. It's been a little while. I meant to rewatch all of Defenders Verse. I literally just finished Defenders, so I did not get to Season 3 of Daredevil yet, but I'm watching like an episode a day, so I think I'll have watched all of Season 3 of Daredevil by the time the last episode of Season 2 of Born Again airs, but by my account. But yeah, they're pretty good about, immediately giving us something that is like, okay, this is what we want from this kind of thing, and yeah, very, very cool seeing him on the boat. I also thought they did a great job of just really underlining, okay, this thing is fucking massive, like we get the, like, I guess it's not quite the, like, New Hope opening shot of like a Star Destroyer, but the thing looks humongous, so yeah, this thing of having to deal with, I mean, I don't know how much of the season it's going to take up, but clearly this is, that's that, shit. What are the screenwriters called again? Inciting incident? Basically, kind of, it's big. Literally, too. And yeah, fucking amazing seeing him just, like, the part where he lets the devil out, for example, and just, yeah, the taking out these people, sometimes stealthily, sometimes not quite as much, and just the sheer gleeful, like, he goes off. Yeah, great to see that they are really embracing that. And it also just feels like, I mean, yeah, if this isn't going to bring that out in him, nothing fucking will. Fisk is mayor, all these things he's done since winning the election, like, there's just no way that this would not. And yeah, the Defenders verse, it approached it, but it's great to see them going full, And it's also the kind of thing where you don't want to go there immediately, because then it's like, well, where the fuck do you go with that character afterwards? Do you just like bring him back down in intensity? No, you gotta, there needs to be room for, that was also something Defenders Verse tended to do well. As brutal as Punisher was when we first met him, it did get increasingly, and really for all of them, I would say they tended to accomplish that. But the yeah, so that brings so yeah, very very cool, the bit with the security cameras and him, filming himself, and my god, does the suit look fucking amazing. And I get, okay, yeah, we knew that from like TV spots and shit, but still, it's so good to see it in the episode. My god, they really nailed it. Yeah. Did I mention that I read what I got my hands on of Daredevil? I could not give you a number. I do not remember, but yeah. Okay, obligatory. The story I most absolutely fucking loved that I read. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's the best, but Guardian Devil. Fucking, oh my god, I read that so many times. So yeah. Anyway, probably top 5 of specific stories that I read many, many times back when I had comics. And I must have hundreds of books still. Anyway, that does cover the, yeah, and very clever, this thing of like, yeah, they're just gonna fucking sink the thing, and yeah, that's the thing. Like, I believe it is accurate that something of that magnitude would not just sink, because the what the fuck's it called again? The depth there is not quite enough for that sort of thing, and yeah, finding all these guns, and it's and by the end of the episode, we don't know exactly who that's for. We just, Charles says, the people I work for, and it's like, okay, so everyone in the room clearly knows, and it's one of those things of like, just in case they don't want to get fucking Nixoned here, but yeah, I and clever putting the watch in. I mean, I'm guessing it's like, he can hear the ticking, so he can find it again, something along those lines. Right, and was that before he knew that it was sinking, maybe? I'm not entirely sure about that part. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, and he gets off it. Right, and also so we see it twice. I'm just gonna real quick. Okay, yeah, I can wait. Yeah, we see twice the thing with the yeah. Oh my god, that was fucking so. I mean, I'm not the only one who sees it, right? Someone working on this also fucking misses David Lynch, R.I.P. Like, my god, the way that it's like, because it's just barely Uncanny Valley, like it feels like, oh, okay, yeah, that needs expanding upon. So obviously, we all know from right away, okay, this is not quite real. But the thing is, like, there are, pieces of media where this kind of thing would be like, no, that's the world it's in. But it's just enough here that we're like, okay, this is not Daredevil. This is not, this must not literally be happening on a Daredevil show. Maybe it's a nightmare or something, but, but the fucking, oh my god, the propaganda of, a cop staying with a fucking hula. Oh my god, I can't. I literally can't. I can't. And the fucking bright colors and the big smiles and like, multi-ethnic, oh shit, does that make it sound like I'm not a Republican. I'm saying multi-ethnic because it's like, this is the kind of thing that Republicans will sometimes do to try to whitewash, conservatives in general all over the world will say like, oh look, we are diverse as long as we don't have to treat them with any kind of decency, and it's like, see, we found a person of color who actually likes us, and it's like remember back when there were a bunch of, I don't know if they still are around. Maybe I just have personally been spared them, but there was a while where, I guess it was leading up to the election or something, there was a bunch of like images and it was like, oh, look how much these black people love Trump. And like, I'm not the first person to point it out. I'm just saying it bears repeating, bears reminding, as someone pointed out, that's AI though. Is that how much Trump does not want to be seen in person near black people? Could you not find, I mean, at least one of the images, I don't know, it's like maybe 5 black people close to him. Could you not find 5 black people in the fucking world? Because, like, let's be honest, they would happily ship him in from overseas that would be near Trump and smiling. Like, I don't think this is the win you think it is. Like, this just makes you look like you have no respect for people, since like, because, and that was back when AI was even more like, I'm willing to acknowledge by today, like, I hate it. I hate AI. We gotta fucking regulate it at the bare minimum. There's so many problems, the consumption of water, many ethical issues. Although, shit, what was it? I think, was it Sora who just shut down the video, option or whatever the fuck it's called. That's great. Please, more, we're going to keep putting pressure on them to unfuck this whole situation. Anyway, let's see. Anyway, yeah, that was back when AI, when it was extremely obvious. I forget if that was one of the specific ones where there was like too many fingers or whatever the fuck, but like I remember distinctly looking at it and just immediately being like, that's fake. That's 100%. I think it might be the thing with the lighting, how the sheen, I think is the word. Anyway, but yeah, I appreciated them showing up to us twice. And that was also, now we understand, like when I saw that in the TV spot, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? But the fucked up face of, well, let's see, I guess we didn't see the fucked up face here, but in one of the TV spots, there's a fucked up face. I guess maybe it's coming up, or maybe they just made that specifically for that. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm talking fast. Anyway, feel free to slow down. Yeah, it's a, I forget what the that thing's called, but yeah, there's stuff like that in the real world where someone will, go on social media and like imitate someone and be like, oh, check this out, and like basically satirize, criticize kind of thing. And yeah, 100%, there would be someone like that for Fisk if he was mayor and behaving like this. And yeah, the little thing about, oh, careful, baby, it says fuck Fisk right there, just, yeah. I mean, is that supposed, okay, if I understand correctly, basically the video itself was put out by BB, but then whoever made is doing this satire over Fisk, like used AI to make it seem like they forgot that it said fuck Fisk. Or I guess it's not impossible that it did slip past, but it seems like, no, they must be able to find at least one fucking angle of New York that doesn't have graffiti criticizing him. But yeah, let's see. I thought they did well on the tone of that video, because that's again the kind of thing where it could be like, if you push it a bit too far and and it becomes very real, it ends up being like, oh, this is just making me kind of fucking sad because this is too real. Or it's like, okay, this is just a little bit goofy, I'm struggling to take it seriously. I do think it's still MCU style jokes, still a thing on here, but at least they do tend to maybe accomplish something. Like there was the thing about like, Matt joking about Stick, which also does feel a tiny bit weird, because does he not still miss Stick? He was upset when Stick died on Defenders, but that's too many MCU jokes will do that, will flatten character. But at the same time, I appreciate, hey, maybe this is the first thing someone watches that has anything to do with Daredevil, and they might be sitting there thinking, how does Daredevil know this fighting kind of thing? Because they already visually did a great job establishing, okay, he has super hearing. That's very easily legible from the sinking scene, ship sinking sea scene. So I guess, does that not bring us to the let's see. Yeah, yeah, very nicely done on, even before they start talking about it, like we do see clearly, yep, it didn't sink fully, it's stuck in there now. And yeah, Matt and Karen talking about, okay, this is gonna piss Fisk off, this is gonna make him make a mistake, and they can use that. And I guess let's see, there's at least one more thing I really wanted to say about this part of the episode. Let's see. So it's the no, yeah, I think that's when, yeah. So AG comes in and threatens, and yeah, this whole thing of, and they're not even trying to pretend to be, a lot of people kiss the ring, but they're like, no, this is not okay. And then Charles shows up. Oh right, that was also, yeah, the thing with the TV, and he's like, yep, seems like a fuck up, and then he cell phone into the glass of liquor, which immediately tell, and the way he does it too, immediately we can tell, okay, not the first time that he's burnt a burner phone. This is fucking big for him to burn a burner phone, and immediately we're trying to figure out who the fuck he is. And yeah, I wonder if there's a deleted scene where whoever was on the other end of the line, like did a really mean personal insult, something that really stings, and then Charles responds, I think you got me too deep. No, I'm never going to stop loving that scene. It's not going to happen. I can't put into words how fucking happy I am to see Matthew Lillard in something again. I mean, I did say that as well in... Is it a spoiler to say? You know what? He was in something else I watched. You can do a tiny bit of detective work and find out something relatively recent. Yes, I think that's going to have to do. If you feel like it, you could do like a search of, I did a video on it. So there you go. You can search by title of stuff he was fairly recently in. Anyway, but yeah, he shows up and he's like, I don't even fucking know what your job title is, buddy. So I think we're even, and he's like, I'm from Langley. You should answer that phone. And, the guy goes from being like, listen, Langley doesn't threaten us. Okay. Langley threatened us. And, yeah. I really, the way Charles is behaving, I do feel like that's, I love the tension there, and also the way he's being so casual while the Fisks are being so serious. It's yeah, I would not rule out that there could be problems in that entire working relationship. And at the same time, we can also tell, I mean, Fisk does kind of need, like, I don't think he'd get fully away with, like, because he's killed people for less. This is, yeah. I mean, shit, that Russian, he didn't even say something insulting to Vanessa, Let's see, I guess that pretty much covers that part. I also like the character detail that in the actual scene, Fisk is chuckling, but then later he says, I don't appreciate you grandstanding. Because the thing is, if he chewed Charles out in front of AG and such, that could bite him on the ass later. But here, where it's just the three of them, he can be completely honest and just, yeah. Because at the time, he was like taking a fucking victory lap. Anyway, yeah, we see how fucked the situation is for Kirsten, and I really appreciated that she fought back. And the thing about, like, no, that's not my name. And then he does address her by the other, what was it, like, Counselor Duffries or something like that. And yeah, my God, what a fucking slime ball. And right, he's another one of these antagonists that I love to hate. was in season 1 as well, but even more so now. And I feel like that actually does bring us to... So I talked some about Heather, but I haven't really talked about Swordsman. I thought they did a good job with him as well. I'm really glad that they... listen, I was fine with it during... I might have even said positive things about it on Hawkeye, because for that, it was like, it's fine. You know, I wasn't necessarily expecting them to do more of the character. I'm so fucking glad that they are making him more serious here in this, you know, version, because like the actor can do it, the character, you know, there's a lot you can do with this character where you kind of need this more serious kind of thing, and for it to also fit with the grittier version of the MCU of the Defenders verse. But the which I appreciated originally was just adjacent, not quite. You know, the continuity was a little bit. It kind of went one way, not the other. But the little things of like, you know, he's like, why are you the one doing this, you know, interview? And then, you know, she threatens him, and he complies. And also the little things we see, you know, she writes down hostile, and it's like, really? Like, so immediately we can tell, oh, she's fucking lying, you know, that she's gonna make it impossible for... He's never gonna see the light of day again, you know, basically. And, you know, it was perhaps also a tiny bit on the nose that she literally writes the word delusional, and then she herself sees something that clearly isn't quite there. I don't know. I do think it makes sense to show twice, because this really is, like, she is struggling to control her, you know, imagining Muse back. And at least some of it was new footage. I thought that, you know, the performance there was good, because, like, you know, whoever's... yeah, once again, not looking up because risks, but whoever's behind the mask, maybe it is the same actor as season 1, but they're doing a really great job being very intense with just body language. You know, they're not saying anything. They're not moving super fast or something. They're kind of just standing there, but it works, you know, because that's also the thing. Like, when you have PTSD, like, for one thing, the person or event does not need to be present. That's kind of part of it. But yeah, it can be a small thing that still feels overwhelming. Plus, it gives them somewhere to go. Maybe later, she will imagine he'll be coming right for her, and she'll, like, back up or something, smash a window behind her, I don't know. Okay, crack a window behind her. Anyway, I think... does that pretty much... Yeah, so the... this continues the trend of season 1 of commenting on Trump through Fisk. I don't even really have to spend too long talking about how, you know, yeah, the AVTF, you know, Anti-Vigilante Task Force, are clearly ICE. Right down to, you know, they'll just fucking walk into, including a fucking restaurant. Like, was this written after... Did they know? Anyway, because that's the thing. ICE went into a fucking restaurant and, like, ate a meal there, and then went and arrested someone who worked there, and then started whining and complaining. Why won't we be let into restaurants? Because actions have fucking consequences. Jesus Christ. And they say that we're the ones who don't... We on the far left are the ones who don't understand anything. Motherfucker. Literally, I remember being a child and, like, respecting other children. Like, yeah, when I was 7, if a 5-year-old had pulled that, had done something that obviously, you know, there's gonna be some consequences to this, and then complained, I would have been like, you know what? I'm not even gonna explain it, because we both know that you understand it, okay? I'm not... Listen, maybe not every single 5-year-old, but this is the kind of thing that a lot of children understand. And yeah, I don't know. I guess in some ways, some people in ICE and those defending them who are not even in ICE struggle to grasp even such basic concepts, which, hey, listen, I'm not saying that there's something inherently wrong with someone who struggles to understand things. I'm just saying maybe Badge and Gun doesn't go with that. Anyway, I think but yeah, so that's that's one of the big ones. But yeah, here we're now also seeing even more illegal activity, or I guess maybe it's the fact that the illegal activity is so fucking brazen, like the Freeport thing, but also, and obviously it's impossible for this to have been, like, nobody could have fucking predicted literally what would, no, I'm not, certainly I'm not expecting them to have read, maybe it was a lucky guess, or maybe it is just like serendipity doodah, but my god, it slots so fucking well onto, so they're trying to engage in shipping, and there is a fuck up, and now they can't do shipping. It even fucking affects like food, or I guess let's say they said that it's going to be they're going to transport it in some other way or something like that, but like this is straight up Hormuz. And I think that does bring us to the part, let's see, I think they're continuing to do a good job on Michael Gandolfini being kind of a fucking dork. Yes, they're like, oh, this is amazing. And it's like, I'm sorry, how old are you? And I get, the character is young, but still, this is just kind of, oh my god. And yeah, I appreciated her, well, I don't know, maybe it is barely even an act, because she does say he grows on you, but she seems like she maybe cares. I mean, she points out, hey, be careful not to be too close to Trump. I mean, Trisk, when all this blows up, and yeah, I don't know. For now, he is still clinging onto, but I don't know. A bunch of people in real life have ended up going against Trump once they realized, oh, right, today is not the last fucking day of history. There's going to be a period after Trump, and a lot of people are going to remember who was with him and for how long. And I think you should have to really majorly engage in restorative, not retributive justice before we trust you again after you've supported Trump. But yeah, I mean, he is a master of literally nothing other than making his own problems and worsening them. He can alienate anyone if you just give him enough time. I think that does bring us to, let's see, this, what was that other thing with the, it was really badass when the woman working at the restaurant stood up to them and called them fascists. And as usual, good detail. Defenders was always quite good about this. Hasn't always been the best, handled in the greater MCU. But this thing of like, yeah, using one's native tongue in certain situations and such. And certainly according to the subtitles, that was what was happening there. And I don't know. It feels like, I mean, it's a real language, so why not just get? I can imagine that they made sure that really was. Okay, I'm gonna try Cypriot Greek, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing the first of those two words right. But yeah, and I guess that is. But yeah, she's like, listen, motherfucker. Maybe normally Greece, no taxes. Listen, you come in here, there's gonna be fucking taxes, motherfucker. And yeah, he just fucking assaults her in front of everyone. Just they feel completely above the law because she wouldn't help them capture some. And he even says, I did what you said, and then he gets shot because, like, it's not a, what, did you think this was a meritocracy? This is Trump Nation, motherfucker. There's no, I'm gonna cool it on the motherfuckers. I'm just fucking excited. I really, really love this episode. I'm so glad that the show is back. And yes, so the let's see. I guess that pretty much brings us to the yeah. So the we've got the other the guy Hochberg, I think, calling Heather, and it's like, well, are you sure about the answers though? And she didn't even write them in pen, so maybe on some level she figured, listen, they're probably gonna ask me to fix this. So, and she overhears him slamming the fridge without a door, and yeah, the yeah, it acts as a noise trigger, and I use that term respectfully and unironically for her PTSD. And I also really appreciate that both times she has PTSD flashbacks, other people notice. This is going to get out of her control if she does not get serious treatment for it soon. But I could definitely see, if I had to guess right now, I imagine maybe later in the season there'll be some kind of thing of her like having a very public mental health episode, maybe even breakdown, and that's going to be like a disaster in the press for Trisk. And it's like, the mental health, department chief is not in control of her own mental health kind of thing, so I think that does pretty much. Yeah, I like there's a little conflict between Buck and the cop, which once again very Trumpy. A lot of these people don't actually like each other; they just like the power, and Trump is the way to get it. And yeah, Buck points out, like, listen, make him a cup of tea, and it's true. I forget. I heard about someone using it to great effect, but I'm afraid I forget the details. But you can look it up for yourself if this is news to you. But yeah, a number of the most effective interrogations were, carrot, not stick. I feel like, doesn't that bring us to the... There's at least one more thing that I really wanted to make sure to say, but what was it? I thought it worked, this thing of the code, between Cherry and Matt, the cell phone. And yeah, I don't know, the thing with you need me to spell those names? Yeah, I need you to spell those names. That also felt like a silly MCU joke, like, just, I don't know. I don't hate the idea, because I appreciate, like, yeah, listen, I would need help spelling those names. I think if you're not from the region, you maybe do. There's no, and that's not a bigoted thing. That's just like, yeah, different culture. Like, listen, fuck, I'm Danish. A lot of people can't spell my name. That's just, if your name is, including a number of Danish people, frankly, which is fair because it's a little unusual in some ways. Anyway, the yeah, I don't know. It just, I think hypothetically, if instead, if after Matt says the names, Cherry just like gives him a blank look for like a second or two, and then Matt says, I wrote them down for you, don't worry about it, or something. But the fact that it's, I don't know, it felt a little too goofy, in my opinion. I think that might, or frankly, yeah, instead just like, maybe he hands him the paper, and, and Cherry's like, well, I'm glad you wrote them down for me, or it's not inherently a terrible joke necessarily. I guess that does cover it, right? Yeah, right now I forget. No, yeah, that yeah. Let's see. There's at least one more thing I wanted to make sure to say. Yeah, so obviously, yeah, the last scene, very intense, and I do appreciate this thing of like, yeah, so if he sends an N for no, that means that he's in trouble, you know, and because it is, I appreciate it's the cleverness, you know, because it's like, just, you're not gonna look at his cell phone records, fine. I don't know, he eats out a bunch, I guess. What's the big deal? You're gonna book him on account of liking to go to restaurants, like, you know, because that's, yeah, very, very nicely done on that. And that was also, yeah, because we see it a couple of times. We see these texts back and forth, and then there at the end we see, oh, that's what happens if it's an N instead of a Y, because. And yeah, the thing about, like, oh, I'm not letting you in without a warrant. We're really gonna do this. Which, once again, like, I don't, could they possibly have written this, made it so fast? Because, like, this thing about, like, the warrants, you know, how they would sometimes try to use a warrant that shouldn't really be, you know, work for the thing they were trying to use it for, and sometimes they will act entirely without warrants and such. Did that happen so long ago that it was, that they were able to write it into this? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, but yeah, and ultimately they do come in, but not by him letting them, but by, you know, by them breaking them. You know, he's doing that. It's not the biggest power move, but there's a little bit there to, you know, his defiance of, like, I'm not gonna let you in. You know, you're gonna have to use force, and it also means that we, the audience, see, yeah, they are using force. This guy used to be a fucking cop, you know, and yeah, they beat him and are going to kill him, and then Matt, you know, again, really, really cool. And I am just so happy to see, like, this. I'm sorry, this is what I wanted out of Daredevil in live action when I read the comics, you know, using the staff. Like, I'm sorry. So as I already mentioned, I rewatched the first 2 seasons. I just don't think there's quite enough. Okay, but by the second one, there's a better amount, but it's still, and I get it, you know, they want to do it with live stunts, and it's all difficult, you know, you got to do it very carefully to make it safe, and the budget and all this, I get it, but I'm just really glad that now they're putting enough money into it, which is also, you know, Disney, yeah, they could, I mean, at this point, they are kind of just, they have infinite money, I guess, but which is fucked because they don't treat their employees well enough, nor do they stand up to Trump enough, although this helps move the needle, at least some. But yeah, I mean, the video I recommended earlier talks about, you know, Pixar not being, yeah. I guess, does that bring us to the, but yeah, you know, and I also really appreciated, yeah, you know, he kicks their asses, but it's also, you know, not entirely undangerous. He does get hit once, but it's, you know, well, let's see. Did Melvin make this suit before this untimely demise, or maybe it's built based off one of his designs, maybe, or something? But yeah, you know, they did mention that, he did mention that, yeah, you know, a bullet will, you know, is not going to penetrate this armor. Anyway, yeah, and they fucking take the mask off, and it's like, that's Matt Murdock, and it's like, oh shit, and then, you know, Bullseye does kill them, but I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the last time that his identity is going to be discovered, you know, because, like, right now the secret's safe, you know, because they died, but they were killed. You know, I'm not trying to use passive voice. I'm not like mainstream media reporting way too vaguely on the genocide that the IDF is carrying out on the Gaza Strip of Palestinians. But let's see. Yeah, because that is the thing. Like, right now, there are still a number of people who don't know about this dual identity. And let's see. I think that does pretty much cover. Yeah, I'm really fucking looking forward to finding out who is actually. I mean, yeah, well, if the CIA is involved, I guess maybe it's international, but it could be pretty much anyone. You know, historically, the CIA they're not the most selective about who they give guns to. It's kind of just like, well, at least right now, it seems like it would help us if we gave guns to these, this group of people. And yeah, decades later, that there might still be a lot of hatred from the people negatively affected by that action, but a lot of Republican voters are just going to blame that group for hating America for no good reason, as if foreign policy isn't the thing. Anyway, yeah, I guess that does pretty much cover. Yeah, so by the end of this episode, it's like, okay, Karen can't quite keep up with Matt when he goes like full speed, but she's not exactly bad, and I do think we are going to see her in action. Those are two separate words at some point, and I am really looking forward to it. So yeah, that is something I wouldn't have minded if there had been a tiny bit more of that in the regular Defenders verse, because like that time she shot a guy and said it wasn't the first time, that was season 1, and then season 2 and 3 didn't really go that far there. So that's another reason why I'm really glad Disney brought this back. Yeah, I think that pretty much does cover it. Yeah, and yeah, so Bullseye easily takes out all of them, and one of them says you're welcome and has his logo, because MCU, everything has to have a logo. And yeah, that is very interesting, because that's the thing. And there's several things going on here. One thing is that he is choosing to save Daredevil, even though, last time they interacted, Daredevil smashed his fucking face into a metal table. But then on the other hand, that also, helped him free himself. And I also appreciate, technically there was also when Daredevil, didn't dodge a bullet, dodged into a bullet. He took a bullet for Fisk, but yeah, one could understand if Dex still fucking hated Daredevil, but I mean, he certainly did in season 3 of Daredevil on Netflix. But yeah, he could have let Daredevil die. He could have killed Daredevil. Like, hypothetically, if he had thrown a few more, because like clearly Daredevil is not really in much of a fighting condition anymore by the end of that scene. And he also makes sure to leave one very distinct calling card. So he wants to keep Daredevil alive. He wants to not kill him himself, at least not yet. And he wants him to know that, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to more of that. I understand that the actor who plays Dex wants to make even more appearances, and I think that could be awesome. Because his performance and the fucking character, so I can't necessarily 100% say that he is my absolute favorite Daredevil villain of the ones I'm familiar with, but he's probably tied with Fisk. And right, and obviously you don't have to tell me. I know Fisk technically also very much a Spider-Man villain. I've read enough comics to know that. I do think so far it's really working for me that he is in the MCU primarily a Daredevil villain, because like it just fits really well. Like, I don't know that would Fisk fit into the way that they've handled MCU Spider-Man so far. I think, it tends to work. So far, it's worked well the way they've handled the villains in those movies. These more like larger than life kind of, where Fisk, it's kind of more. It fits really well with Daredevil, who's more street level. No, I'm not going to go off on a huge rant about the Spider-Man trailer. I fucking loved it. I cannot wait for that movie. That's all I'm going to say for now. Let's see. I think it was Nando who did a really solid video on it, so you can watch that one. The right, and honestly, let's see if I can remember his name, because I am a fan of his. God damn it! Right now I don't remember his name. I'll try to remember before I do another Marvel video. Anyway, the Zach Milne, I think is his name. Yeah, his reaction to the trailer was also great. Yeah, I think that might bring us to the yeah, really, really looking forward to more of this. It's gonna be difficult to wait a week, but I do overall prefer this thing. The way they're, yeah, instead of dumping all the episodes all at once, I really appreciate the building of anticipation, you know. And you know, every so often I come across people saying, but I want to watch all of them at once. Okay, so wait until they've all aired and then watch all of them at once. Like, listen, I get that criticism for like TV, you know, back before like fucking DVR, is that what it's called? You know, stuff like that. But like today on a streaming thing, I do not understand that completely. Like, listen, if you're saying that you wish that it wasn't so difficult to dodge spoilers if you choose to wait, yeah, that I understand. But like, building anticipation is a big part of it. Like, listen, I'm sorry, growing up reading comic books, the anticipation, the theorizing, the guessing what's going to be in the next story, that's such a big part of the appeal of these. You know, that's one of the reasons why a number of these movies, it doesn't work quite as well, because like you don't have quite the same thing. It works really well as like, yeah, when there's a bunch of episodes like this. And but yeah, right now I actually forget who it was that said it, but at one point, you know, someone brought up, which again is a good thing to, you know, remind those who may have forgotten, and also just, yeah, tell people who didn't already know, because it tells us so much about Fisk. You know, someone points out, hey, this guy once killed a man over disrespecting his wife, you know. Well, in Fisk's defense, he embarrassed him in front of her.